So let's continue with footwork, and I want to talk about all the different variations that we have already learned. So now she's going to go ahead and move down to her toes, so we're parallel toes. And let's just say Rochelle had a really hard time about maintaining her posture here. The nice thing about with the winded chair and the handles is that she can hang on to these. So go ahead, Rochelle, and just go ahead and take your arms around. Yes, beautiful. I don't want her to rely on this, but depending on what client you have, this could be super helpful for them to maintain that upright position. Okay, so we're gonna inhale to prepare here, and then exhale, go ahead and press down. Again, our goal is not to touch the base of the chair, but to find that heavy point in her muscle, in her quads here, and that's when she knows it's her stopping point here. We wanna relax through the neck and the shoulders, and then I almost even wanna have you just kind of like balance with, reach your fingers and just have that as your support system here. We're gonna knit those ribs together. Beautiful. So again, lots of variations that we could do. We could take the dowel away and have a split pedal as well. And then let's go ahead and come right back up again. Let's just say now you don't have a winded chair and you are working with the exo chair that I had, or something very similar to what that looks like. I'm gonna remove these out of the way so that we can demonstrate what that looks like. And one of the things that I want you guys to understand is when you're in a studio, you want everything to be super safe and you want it to be out of the way. So I am putting this all the way to the back of the room so that no clients who are walking in can trip on it. That is being a really safe, seasoned instructor when you are very knowledgeable about that as well. So let's go ahead, Rochelle, have your toes on, and then we're going into your V position. So she's gonna hug her heels together, and I want her knees to be as wide as her shoulders. So that's where we're framing everything. So all the way upright, ribs are connected, take that inhale to prepare, and exhale, she extends down. So yes, muscle focus is still gonna be on those quads, but we are going to be activating some of the inner thighs there too. Beautiful. And bring it back up. And then we'll go ahead and demonstrate wide V position. And before you get started, let's just say your client needs a little bit more of a challenge. So let's go ahead and give you some weights, and we can basically go ahead and hold them out wide. Palms are gonna go up. So she's light at her elbow joint, nice and tall. Pull your belly button into my hand here, and she's gonna go ahead and press down. Beautiful. So these are just different variations that we can add to our footwork series here, depending on what those goals are. Very nice. And then go ahead, relax it. Let's come down to your toes. I will take the weights, and let's demonstrate another prop here. So now she's holding onto the ring. And this is really nice too, because this can help to activate more of her, knit her ribs back together. And go ahead, inhale to prepare there, exhale to press it down. Beautiful. Again, same rules apply. We want to make sure that the hips are nice and steady, that she's not actually moving or gravitating her body back or forth, that it's keeping it very quiet. And go ahead and bring it back up. And let me take this. One other thing that we want to also take into consideration is if we're looking structurally at their posture, what can we do to support their knees or their ankles and things like that. So let's just say Rochelle had some knee issues. This also can give her some support. Let's place that between your knees. Or we want to get more inner thigh activation. Just go to your heels again here, just so we can demonstrate what that might look like. And then now she has something else to think about as she's going through the movement flow here. Really nice. So again, lots of different props we can use. We can literally have her take this magic circle around her ankles, her knees. You can use a resistance band. So think about what is going to be ideal for your client. Reverse washerwoman. So this is still in abdominals, but you can see now I have Rochelle on this side, so we are going to switch up the exercise. But the purpose here is to challenge balance, create a hamstring stretch, and also to build core awareness. Again, the muscle focus is going to be on the abdominals, and it's all about what the spring tension that we're going to be using. And I actually still have Rochelle on 1 spring on 4. So with that being said, this is going to be a lot more challenging, a little bit more on the intermediate side of this exercise. So I'm going to have her stand hip distance apart there with the feet. And I feel like you can come a little closer. Yeah, just toes are not gonna touch the wood part there. All right, so same concept. We're gonna go ahead and start to inhale as she circles her arms up and over. She's gonna dive over this imaginary beach ball as she connects her hands back to the pedal. So pause right there for me. What are we observing here? So the thing I don't want Rochelle to do is to shift her weight forward in this exercise. So it's really, really hard to create stability where her hips are gonna stay over her knees and over her ankles the whole time here. So as you are going ahead, pressing down, you're taking that inhale. She can't go down as far without her body moving forward. So this is her stopping point, and that's totally fine. Now the exhalation, again, you're gonna draw your belly up and in as she starts to close those springs again. We're gonna hold, relax that tension from your neck, and then she's gonna go ahead and inhale to press it back down again, about right there. And then using her abdominal muscles, really tuck that tailbone as you articulate into that C curve. Beautiful. And it takes a lot of effort here. So if your client is just like going through this really fast, you know that they're not using control. They're not really engaging through their abs to go through the exercise. So yeah, so this is could be really challenging where people can lose their balance, especially if the springs are really, really light. So if I reduce the spring tension on Rochelle, it's gonna get harder for her. And so she has to really understand where she is going to balance this exercise. If this was her very first time doing this exercise, I would give her more springs. So the heavier the spring tension is, will make this exercise easier for the individual. So it's important to understand that. It's important to practice that. How does it feel in your body so you know how to make those cues to your clients as well. And so this is her last repetition here. Keep your chin dropped down. Yep, so we're looking at her neck, making sure it's in line with the spine. She's gonna close those springs and rebuild herself back up to a nice standing position. Shoulders are gonna roll back. Backward step down. So the purpose here is to strengthen the hips, build pelvic stability, and also teach torso stabilization. Our muscle focus is gonna be on the glutes, hamstrings, and the quads. And as you can see, I don't even have the training wheels on with the arms in this exercise, but you can definitely put those back on if your client needs it. And you do have a one-to-chair with the actual arms as well. So I have Tom still set up with 2 springs on 3. And let's go ahead and talk you through this. So go ahead and place one foot down onto the pedal. You're gonna press it all the way to the ground, and then stepping up with your left foot, grab a hold of it. There you go. So again, same idea, same placement like we did in forward lunge. Wanna look at that alignment, really nice. And then let's go ahead and find what works best for you. Genie arms, let's go ahead and do that. So he can cross his arms over. And then he's gonna find a little bit of like an oomph, like just to, like kind of lift up yourself. And then once he's there, he's gonna hold himself. That's the hard part. So his left leg is gonna be his stabilizing leg. So he's gonna feel a lot of work. So with that being said, start to move through your right side. I like to get the client going first before I start to make adjustments to them. So as he's moving through that right side, think about equally applying pressure into the right foot. And then my goal for him is to lift your chest up, tuck your tailbone under, because again, the same idea is that we want this knee not to shear over, and you see how that changes things here. So he's gonna feel that in his quads way more, and this is so much stabilization and balance that again, you want to make sure that your client is ready for things like this, or go ahead and step it down there, Tom, and you can carefully step off behind you, but maybe you're positioning this next to a wall or something where they can actually hold on if you don't have those arms for this chair, but just trying to find something, maybe a long gondola pole or something of that nature as well, but that is really good. Military dip. So the purpose here is to strengthen the upper body, teach scapular depression, and our muscle focus is going to be on the triceps and the biceps. So I'm going to show this 2 different ways, but with this exercise, obviously with the one-to-chair, we have the handles here, so it makes it nice that we can actually integrate this exercise into a client's workout flow. With the previous chair I showed you guys at the very beginning, the exo chair, obviously you wouldn't be able to do this exercise, so it does make it nice to have the variety here. So I want to talk a little bit about the handles for just a moment. So right now I have them at the highest mark for Tom for the setup, but let's just say, and this is going to be more in your beginning set up. But I want to make it so that we're challenging Tom, and if that's the case, then we would basically pull this knob out, and then I would begin to lower down to where I want this to be positioned. Once you have found that position, you're going to go ahead. I'm going to bring this back up again because I want it to be even. We're going to start with beginner more. It's going to lock. You want to make sure that you are twisting this so that it's nice and tight to stabilize through these arms as well. So, okay, that looks really nice. So I have him on 2 springs on 3, and this is to provide more assistance for him. So if I wanted this to be even more beginner-like, more assistance, I would go 2 springs on 4. If I wanted this to be more advanced, I would decrease to go down to 2 springs on 2 as well. So carefully, Tom, I'm gonna have you push that pedal down towards the floor. We can grab a hold of the handles here. And then he's going to step his left foot up on top of the bench. Beautiful. Come all the way up to the very top here. Okay, so now that your client is here, they can get an actual like how this feels, because it is a little bit scary at first if they are afraid of heights, but they are going to hang on to those handles at all times. So you're carefully there, Tom. I'm going to have you take your toes. You're going to step back on top of the pedal, just like that. Beautiful. His chest is lifted, shoulders are back, he's looking straight ahead, and he's going to carefully bend into his elbows. Perfect. Lowering down to where he feels is the challenge point, and then he's going to straighten his arms. So let's see if we can do a couple more repetitions like that. The easy part is to go down. The hard part is to actually straighten your arms. That's where you really want to cue your client to open up through their shoulders, dropping. Yep, open up through the chest, dropping those shoulders all the way down. And if I even wanted to like have him do this a little bit more challenging, think of your elbows pointing back behind you. Yes, like reaching in towards your rib cage. Does that change how this feels? Good, and then go ahead and rest it up 1 foot at a time. So again, if you want this to be more challenging for your client, that is one way you can cue your client, is to not have their elbows so much outward, but they are going to basically look straight back behind them. Okay, so that's one variation of this exercise. Now we're gonna go ahead and carefully, you're gonna turn yourself around, and this time, he's gonna continue to hang onto the handles, but you're gonna go ahead and place your toes down onto the pedal, nice high-heeled position, good. Again, think of that equal weight distribution into your toes. Shoulders are down here, and then same idea. He's gonna start to bend into his elbows. Inhale there, exhale to straighten out your arms, drop your shoulders down completely, beautiful. And then again, we'll go ahead into a few more repetitions. So maybe they need to take breaks in between and then start another round of this. But again, I would aim for anywhere from like 3 to 5 repetitions. I think that's really comfortable for that individual as well. And then go ahead and bring your feet back up. So in order to get down from here, I'm gonna have you go ahead and turn yourself around, and then just go ahead and place your toes back onto the pedal, carefully pushing all the way down and stepping your opposite foot off. So that's how you would cue your client exactly how to step off of it at the end there. Good. Barbie. So our purpose is to strengthen the posterior side of the upper body and teach scapula depression. Our muscle focus is going to be on the obliques and back extensors. So I have Tom set up with 1 spring on 3. Again, this is set up more in an intermediate level. If I wanted this to be more advanced, more challenging, I would lighten the spring load to 1 on 2. And if I wanted to provide more assistance for him, I would increase the spring tension to 1 on 4. So with that being said, he's already sitting on the chair. So I'm gonna have you take it into a side plank position. So he's gonna come onto his right side, and he's gonna take his right hand onto the pedal and just go ahead and extend both legs out straight, like if you were literally on your side. So both legs are together, and you're gonna balance, hips are stacked, and you're gonna carefully start to turn your body. And this is just the setup here, where both hands are gonna come down to the pedal, and that's when he's gonna start to separate his feet, straighten out your leg completely. And then I want you to completely square out your shoulders. Now, what am I looking for here is that his hands are out very wide, and I want his thumbs to be in line with his index finger. Can you separate your hands even wider onto the pedal? Yep. Go ahead and press it down. Hold it right about here. So he's in a neutral position where I want his left shoulder to drop down, bring your right shoulder up. More, more, more. That's it. Now, with that being said, his eyesight is going to be between his hands, and he's going to begin to inhale and start to bring the pedal up. He's going to use his exhale to lower back down, and I'm paying attention to his hips, so I want to stabilize through his hips, so there is no movement. Beautiful. Do you feel the difference? Yes. I'm holding onto that leg, so I want you to feel like it's very energetic, and I want you to feel the same with your right leg. Think of it very energetic, reaching outward. So shoulders are dropping, right shoulder's lifting. This is where we're teaching that oblique awareness, where he's lifting upward. So let's say your client was struggling, couldn't lift up. This is one way as an instructor. I'm going to have you go ahead and close out the legs a little bit more. I'm going to stand behind him, and he's going to press his ankles in towards my hips here, my outer thighs. Straighten this leg more, more, more. Yes, because once he does that, this provides more stability for him to have more of that extension as well. And he is actually shifting his body forward, so I would be wanting him to lower back down because I am looking for his shoulders to stay over his wrists, mostly in this exercise as well. So good, go ahead and relax it and come on up. And then basically you would turn on the other side and make sure that we get both sides. So we wouldn't want to just do this facing this way. We would have the client actually turn around and face this wall so that they can actually activate the obliques on the other side as well. So good job.